Happy Friday. It is Snipes and Stripes special Friday right here on nofilter.net. My buddy Tim Peel and myself, Jeremy Roenick. Very exciting times, buddy. Very exciting times because that gentleman who just jumped on board
Yeah.
to talk playoffs, to talk hockey, to talk whatever Mr. Biz Nasty wants to talk
Well,
about.
you guys run the show here, whatever you want to talk about.
Holy
That's right.
smoke.
That's right,
It's
Biz.
Peelsy,
Exactly.
it's about time that we got our boy on. He's so busy running all over the world, running all over the place, entertaining people, teaching people about hockey, being his
Well,
life.
I don't know how many people I'm teaching about hockey.
Hey, you're teaching them your version of hockey, that's for sure, which is great.
Make
Hey
sure the
Biz, what's up,
bottles
buddy?
are
Thanks
full and
for
the
joining
gates
us. I
open.
know I know you're busy, man. We really appreciate your time. We'll keep you for 30 minutes and then I know you got a busy schedule. What's going on, pal? How is your
Hey,
schedule these days?
exciting times. We just finished up our last broadcast for the regular season on Wednesday. We gave out the Mr. TNT award to Mr. Alexander Ovechkin, the goal record holder as of now, and until Austin Matthews catches him. And then tomorrow we kick things off with, I believe we're starting with the Winnipeg Jets series, and then we move on to Dallas, Colorado, which things have fallen off a cliff a little bit for the Dallas Stars. Hopefully they can reel things in, at least to make that series interesting, because with no Heiskanen and now Robertson and a knee brace leaving that last game from Nashville, things are getting ugly pretty quick for them.
Before we get into the matchups, Biz, obviously, giving Ovi the TNT award is perfect. I got to tell you, some of my favorite interactions is with you and Marshy. He
Oh,
made me. That guy is, as you know, he's one of the best. Like the perception of Marchand for years was he's just a goof and a piece of whatever. But I think as he gets older and more people like him, and I just love the guy. And when he was giving it to you, and you were talking about his forehead and the Turkish hit, like he's a riot, buddy.
Oh, I think he's gained a lot of fans over the
Yeah,
last couple of years.
yeah,
People knowing now how funny he is behind the scenes and how much he adds to a locker room. And I'm
right.
sure Florida fans, although they might have hated his guts, are excited now that he's on their side. But yeah, he's got so much character. He brings so much to the game. He's so quick on his feet too. I'm coming in. I'm coming in with those premeditated chirps, Jr. And he's just putting me in. He's stuffing me in a locker. So it's good. I think in any other year he wins it, but with Ovi and and just I think he scored every single broadcast he was on with us. I think we had him on 5 times and he scored 7 goals. So yeah, a few empty netters, but nonetheless he delivered, and especially in that last one we had against in Long Island, or on Long Island, I should say, when he ended up breaking the record. So it's crazy though, boys, because like with all the pressure and everybody following him around and all the constant interviews, the fact that like he was able to get that many goals in such a short amount of time and wrap it all up, like man, like that's not easy, having the weight of the world on you to close that thing up, and he did just that. So
Yeah,
it's
it was
just
always the
remarkable.
question, right? It was always the question: was he going to be able to do it this year? Is he going to be able to do it this year? Well, he did it easily, which is, and we should never doubt Alex Ovechkin the way that he has scored goals over his career. But I, talk about, and I think this is really important. Where does Alex Ovechkin now stand on the history of the game in terms of obviously goal scorers? But I'm just talking about um, players and representations of a team, being a leader. Some of the things that I've seen him do over the last month has transcended sometimes I think maybe his goal scoring by his love for the game, right? I think you talk about Marchand getting a lot more fans. How about Ovi and the way that he is treated this last month and a half? With Crosby and Malkin the other day, giving him a watch.
Yeah.
Seeing that interaction was amazing. Seeing what he did for Marc-Andre Fleury, seeing what he did for the young Leopold and going out. His love for the game is where do you put Ovi right now in the status of the history?
Yeah, and like everything you just said is bang on, right? Like he's a pretty reserved guy, right? I mean, obviously the language barrier is not as big as it once was. So I felt for a long time everybody just wanted to rip on him, even though he was scoring 50, 60 goals a year. It was always like, oh, he can't win. You know, he's one dimensional in the sense of, you know, he doesn't play defense and blah, blah, blah. And then finally he won the big one. And I feel like that probably alleviated a lot of pressure off of him in that sense. And then I think the world, especially the hockey world, started seeing his personality and how loving he is behind the scenes. And his teammates would obviously tell you, right? Like they showed up in droves for that celebration. So as far as like the Mount Rushmore conversation and like where he would rank among all time, like you kind of lived during like the Stevie Y era, like and playing and saw all that. So I'm sure you watched Gordie Howe growing up to a certain degree. So it's hard to like bump off the OGs off the Mount Rushmore. Like I feel like those are the founding fathers and the guys who should stay there forever. Bobby Orr, Gordie Howe, Mario Lemieux, Wayne Gretzky. I definitely think that there should be like more of like a new school one where you'd probably have Ovi on that. You'd have Sid on that.
Yeah, but you just said something really, because it's always been Sid and Ovi, Sid and Ovi, Sid and Ovi, and everybody looks at Sid as the kind of the Gretzky ambassador of the league. Did Ovi take over that and kind of overshadow everything that Sid did?
I probably would. I would say no. I would
Yeah,
still.
good. I'm glad you said that.
I would definitely put. Like I would say, from an all-around player perspective, I still have Crosby ahead of Ovi,
100%.
regardless if he scored what. I think he's like 300 more goals past him. But clearly a more well-rounded game. But yeah, I not to take anything away from Ovi, I'd probably put him in the top 10 all time.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
just not ahead of Sid. Like I don't even know. Like you would be able to tell us better. Like I don't even know if I would have him ahead of Yzerman. Like,
yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it's very valid. I think it's a very valid point. I put Ovi in the top 15. I don't know if I put him as an entire hockey player, right? The whole enchilada in the top 10, but still the best goal scorer, the best goal scorer.
Yeah.
But let's get right into it, because you have to be so nervous right now, man.
Well,
you got to be so nervous. Your Toronto Maple Leafs are going up against their arch rivals and their foes and the guys that they can't beat, the Ottawa Senators.
Well, I would say that I'm less nervous than them going against Florida or Tampa Bay. Like I think winning that division was major. Like I think that Tampa and Florida are going to beat the shit out of each other.
100%. That's going to be my number one favorite. I think. Series to watch. Go ahead.
If that was the Stanley Cup Finals, I think everybody would be happy, right? Like obviously that's not the case because they're in the same conference, but just like the anticipation, you got both Russian goalies going against each other. But going back to the Leafs, the Montreal Canadiens would have been the only other series I would have been less nervous about. From an experience perspective, Montreal, I believe, their average age 25.5, which is the youngest since like 81, I believe, like 81, 82, maybe Edmonton Oilers team. Maybe it was 80, 81. But so it's been a long time since the team that young had made it. That would have been a better matchup for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ottawa's a good team. You know, I think that goaltending, Ullmark solid, although his playoff numbers aren't great. Sanderson's pretty solid defenseman. I trust the Leafs D more so than Ottawa's D and the depth there. But Ottawa's got some good guys up front, man. They got some guys.
Toronto hasn't beaten them this year.
They haven't beat them since 2023, mind you. I don't give a shit about the regular season. I don't give a shit.
So all of a sudden, regular season does not count whatsoever anymore in the minds of Toronto Maple Leafs.
It doesn't like bear any weight as far as like, oh my God, we haven't beat them since 2023 in regular season. Like, oh no, I'm nervous now. No, I don't look into that. I look at, Leafs
You're full of shit. You're full of shit. You know why? Because they're sitting in that locker room going, oh my God, we haven't beat this team in 2 years. And we get bowed out every year in the first round. And all these people in Toronto are going to absolutely destroy us if we lose to Ottawa.
I'll give you this. If the Leafs, they won't though. If they do lose game 1, I would imagine the arseholes will pucker up a little bit tighter.
Oh, big time. Big time.
Just a little bit tighter, okay? But I'm confident going into this series. Leafs have the experience. They look to be healthy. I think McCabe and Oliver Ekman-Larsson will be in the lineup. If that's the case and it's all systems go, like, come on, Toronto.
Biz,
It's time to go here. Let's
Biz,
go.
I got to give a shout out to this guy on Twitter out of Ottawa, and I'm sure you saw it. He goes by the handle Laleem's Mark.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
And he goes introducing the game one starting lineup for the Ottawa Senators. And JR, if you can see that, it's the mug shots of the guys that Biz steamrolled in Arizona.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got their licks in too. Let's not forget.
But listen, what do you? Because I saw your video, and you're like, you're so excited, like it was like the first time you kissed a girl in grade 6 when you saw that the Leafs are playing Ottawa. You were so pumped the other night. But what are you gonna do when Brady Tkachuk pulls a Four Nation and steamrolls Mitchy Marner? And just runs him over and runs over Matthews, because there's nobody on Toronto that can take care of Brady Tkachuk.
I hope Jake McCabe goes over and handles him. Like I listen, I know he's a big boy and he's tough as shit. And I would probably agree he's probably the toughest guy in the series. But Leafs do have guys, especially on the back end. That's why they went out and got bigger and stronger.
That's why they got Carlo.
That's why they got Carlo. It's why they got McCabe. It's why they got, like, even Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Like, I'm not saying he's going to go and fight Brady Tkachuk, but, you know, he changed his game drastically from the time he was in Arizona, Vancouver, and then when Paul Maurice got his hands on him in Florida. So, you know, I'm not saying they necessarily have to fight him. I'm just more worried about them, you know, taking that punishment on his forecheck and making sure they're boxing out appropriately when he's sitting with that big ass of his on the net front, like Walt.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tough series, you know. And
is this Toronto's? Is this the best they've been poised and best prepared for the playoffs you've seen in a long time?
I think that this is the best. Last year it sucked because Nylander got injured going in, right? So you had all this chaos. You had all the like Boston, they had the mental edge because of the experience and how much they'd had their number. Like that to me is what scared me about the playoff performance against the Leafs. So it's going to be interesting here, and I mean, I said Leafs in 5. I wouldn't be shocked if it was Leafs in 6.
I think it's Ottawa in 7. I think it's going to go 7 games. I think Ottawa is going to take it. I think. Listen, Stolarz has played well recently.
Unbelievable.
But
he's won 8 in a row.
But the playoffs, as you know, is a different animal. I can't. I want to see Marner and Matthews produce in the playoffs, because we really haven't seen it of any consistency over the next few years or last few years. So,
well, I'm gonna go on a crazy limb, because, and I'm not saying this because I want to go against Biz, because I don't. I think it's going to be Toronto in 4. I mean 5. I think Toronto in 5. I think 5 because I think a couple of different things. I think the additions that you talked about are massive in terms of their playoff physicality, that not to be able to be pushed out of a game. I think Marner has made a step towards more greatness with the way he played in the Four Nations, his season that he had this year. I think he's sick and tired of getting yelled at after the playoffs, and I don't think you don't have to motivate Austin Matthews. He needs to score goals. He did not score a goal in the Four Nations. I think he took a lot of heat for that. And I think he's taking a lot of heat again. I think he knows he has to score goals. And I think he's gonna do all of that. And again, I think their coaching is gonna have them prepared for playoff hockey. So I'm saying Toronto in 5. I hope that makes you happy.
I hope so. And like I said, going back to Ottawa, like, you know, what they did at the deadline, bringing in Cousins, that Zetterlund is a cigarette machine, big boy. I would imagine, like, you know, can play that playoff style hockey with that frame. Yeah, they got some gamers, man. They got Stutzel, they got Batherson, they got some good young talent in that locker room. So I just hope the quote unquote experience, I say that very lightly because it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's not like they've been that deep in the playoffs, but they've been to the dance. They know what it's like. And you just mentioned it, like Marner, like he's playing for contract. Like he's playing for money here. So I as 100-point regular season, that's great. But if he doesn't have a big playoff, I know he's still going to get paid, but I don't think it's going to be in Toronto. So if he wants to
Where
stay,
do you
it's
think
time
he
to
goes,
it's time
Biz?
to buck up.
Where do you think somebody signs a Mitch Marner? Is it Chicago, like everyone
I
talks?
think there's probably about 4 or 5 teams that are lined up to sign him and give him 13.5
Yeah,
million,
yeah,
maybe even 14.
yeah.
I bet I wouldn't be shocked if Utah gave it to him. Like they want like a big name star coming in, make waves and get fans excited to sell out that building again this year. So people have obviously said Chicago, they have a ton of money to spend. They they want to put somebody around Bedard, right? Although that Nazar kid's been doing pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't know necessarily know if he's the answer, but yeah, I would assume 5 or 6 teams are lined up to sign Mitch Marner to a big ticket.
Okay, staying with the East, it can't be overlooked the job that Jeff Gordon has done in Montreal, and what people not we know it, but he built the New York Rangers before he was released there for whatever reason. I think Montreal, everyone would agree, is ahead of plan. They've got a lot of good young players there, a lot of good young players.
I think they beat Washington.
Do you think?
Wow, you got it. Okay.
Well,
Do you say that? Do you say that because like you feel like Washington's kind of coming down off this big high? I mean, they haven't been playing great towards the end of the year. The last like 10, 15 games, they've been leaking oil.
Yeah, I think a couple of reasons. I think number one, I think although they've had a great season, they need to be commended for a great season. But I think they overachieved this year. Nobody looked at them to have the season that they did. Granted, they were riding an OV high. I think they have been playing. They have not been playing playoff hockey, or they've been playing for OV and celebrating OV. And OV, I just feel when you have an energetic team like Montreal, who has had to battle their asses off to get to this point. They have a lot of young, great players. They have more. They have more fire, more energy, and no pressure. I think that for them, I just like their energy. I think they're going to be so excited that they're in the playoffs, and that energy in that building. And if they steal one in Washington, I just think their emotion and their youth can get over Washington. That although they've been good, I just don't. I think they've overachieved.
Well, and I think the goaltending's an issue too because Logan Thompson has been hurt. Charlie Lindgren's he's a great goalie, but I'm not sure. Listen, nobody talks ever about the Carolina Hurricanes, and I don't know. They just don't seem to be a very sexy team to talk about.
I like them.
I know, but they never really do anything. Like, who's going to win that series with Jersey? You got Dougie Hamilton back.
Oh, I think that Carolina's going to smoke them.
You do?
Yeah, I think they're going to skate them up, and like I guess skating is not really Jersey's issue. Missing Hughes. The one problem though is Siegenthaler, who's probably their best defensive defenseman. Like you're going to need good box outs and closing plays down quickly because Carolina just comes at you. I think that like Kochetkov has been a little shaky down the stretch, and like Anderson has been kind of, he's been solid in playoffs, but like I think last year if he was better, that they would have beat New York. Like he needed some more timely saves. Their back end so much better and more responsible and defensively. Like it's a world of difference. Their PK I think is tops in the league. So New Jersey, although they have a good power play, and I think it's actually surprisingly be better since Hamilton was out and Jack Hughes was out. I just don't know if they can score on special teams with the kill that the Carolina has, and if that's not happening, I just don't see them winning the series.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Carolina wins in 5. I want to talk about you really quick before we get off. I know we can talk playoffs all the time for an hour, but I know you have to be off on another podcast. Who really quick, just last little playoff conversation. Who do you think, who is your favorite who's your favorite going into the playoffs?
I got a few teams. Like I think Vegas set themselves up well with winning the Pacific in that first round matchup. I think that they're gonna make light work, and you know they're it looks like they're gonna be healthy as well, and they're just so strong through the middle of the ice. Jack Eichel, Hurdle, William Karlsson, like
They probably
they're
have one of the best fourth lines in playoffs.
they're deep. Like they always got good fourth lines, even when they won the cup. Right? They had like Kolasar, and
I saw Kolasar. I saw Kolasar on Sunday night in Vegas. Kid's a stud. I love the way
stud
the kid plays.
stud.
He was in a restaurant, and I had to go up to him and say, "Listen, you guys have the best fourth line, and one of the reasons why I don't mind your pick."
Yeah, and like as Ace describes them, they got 6 redwoods back there.
Yeah.
Just I don't think they have a defenseman under 6'2".
No.
So they are just big, strong. They protect the middle of the ice. Aiden Hill's going to see every shot, but
Yeah.
he can look through any screen based on his size. He's been there. He's won one. So and then they have nice complementary young wingers. Like they got that Dorofeev kid who's making under $2 million. He had 35 goals this year. Victor Olofsson, who I maybe expected a little bit more out of this year, he had I think 15. But Barbashev, he's a cigarette machine just like Zetterlund is. So I like them. And man, with the overhaul of the lineup, I think Colorado is poised to make another run.
Yeah,
like I got them in Vegas in the conference finals in the West.
I got Colorado winning the whole thing.
And I wouldn't be shocked, man. Like the only centerman they had that started the year with them was McKinnon,
Right.
And then they got Brock Nelson, they got Charlie Coyle, great third line center, and then that Drury kid from Carolina in that trade, Nachushkin, who wasn't playing.
They're just massive down the middle.
Yeah, they're unreal down the middle. Obviously, Cale Makar is a difference maker. They're going to have him and Taves playing 25 to 27 minutes every night.
Yeah.
So, and then that Blackwood and Wedgwood look pretty good as a tandem now. So, just a great job by McFarland. I would imagine he wins GM of the year. If not, he should. And that's those are the two teams I have out west. And obviously, I got to stick with my Leafs, but everybody kind of has Tampa as that sneaky team. Nobody's been talking about like I switched my opinion. I think they're going to beat Florida.
You know what's amazing, Biz? I was going to mention it earlier. John Cooper, I think 3 years ago, everyone was like, do they need to retool? They need to rebuild. Their days are numbered as far as dominating like they had in the past. John Cooper just does a tremendous job every year. And I think Tampa is going to beat Florida this year. I think they're going to win.
I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked, especially the way Vazzy's been playing.
Yeah, I think Tampa. I think Tampa takes the East. I think it's going to be Tampa.
I think LA beats Edmonton. What do you think? They're so good at Crypto Arena.
I currently have LA winning that series in 7 just because of the uncertainty coming in for the Oil. They got no Ekholm.
Yeah.
That's such a big loss for them. Goaltending's been shaky this year where, playoffs and, goaltending seems to be everything most of the time. And Darcy Kemper, one of the best comeback seasons in the NHL. He's got similar numbers to Hellebuck. He's got a 2 goals against average and a 9. I think last time I checked, it was a 921 save percentage. So just a remarkable turnaround for him. And they clinched the home ice. So that, like you talked about their home record, best home record in the league, that's a huge, huge boost. So I think it's going to go the distance because it's hard to contain McDavid and Draisaitl. Congrats to him on winning the Rocket. But yeah, it would suck though to see McDavid and Draisaitl lose out first.
It really would. All right, enough hockey. Enough hockey because I love, how much I love you, Biz, and what you've been able to do with your career. What is your life like now? We see you everywhere. You have one of the most popular. You have one of the most popular, if not the most popular, sports podcasts in the world. And Spit and Chicklets with obviously with Wits and everybody else and Yans that you bring on. You guys do an amazing job.
Yans was a great addition, by the way.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah. I play with Yans in Arizona. Didn't you, JR? Were you
Yeah,
there with the Ants?
I played with the Ends. I love the Ends. He's one of my favorite people of all time. And we can, he's been on the podcast before too. So I like, what's your life like? Like you're everywhere, and how do you keep up with it? And are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot, right? Like I look forward to my off seasons once the season's over. Like I go up to Vancouver and last year I don't think I hopped on a flight for 8 weeks, which during the season it's just yeah, you're I would say I probably average about 4 flights a week during the season, maybe 3 to 4. So, yeah, it's been crazy and it's been a fun ride and I'm not married, I don't have kids, so I do have a lot of spare time on my hands. So I kind of I felt like I left a little bit on the table with my playing career, like just in the sense of like, I was a fourth liner. So you're trying to have fun and keep it light. So I would go out and party. I would, drink and kind of just embrace the fact that I even made the NHL. So I just felt like, all of a sudden at 32, my career was over. So I hopped pretty hard into work and media. And it's obviously taken me to a place where I've been given all these opportunities. And
What was your break though? What was your big break?
um,
No, the big break. Like obviously getting on television with the Coyotes was one thing, but
Yeah.
what was the
Yeah,
one thing that's
yeah, Rich Nairn hiring me to the Coyotes and me getting my reps in with Bob Heathouse on the radio was huge, right? That was a big boost for me. I would say part of the big break was just starting Twitter so early,
Yeah.
right? And because of that, a lot of opportunities popped up even when I was playing, where I would start getting my reps in front of the camera. So it just got me more and more comfortable with media as like when you were a player, like you were doing media all the time, you were fun. And I feel that like I'm assuming over time, like your comfortability in front of the camera grew. Like to the point where you were taking a lot of tension off the other guys in the room because you were okay doing it, along with not just interviews, but whether it was like a banquet here, speak here, do whatever here. So that just opened up the door for me while I was playing to where when I was done, it was kind of inevitable. Like, oh yeah, I've already kind of started this part of my career, so let's just hop into media. So
But did you
I
have to think about it? Did you have to think about it, or you were just you and didn't care what anybody thought? Because you have been very controversial on a lot of things that you've said and
yeah,
things that you've done, but that's also a great stepping stone to getting to where you are. I mean, look what Howard Stern did. I'm not comparing you to Howard Stern, but it's
yeah.
the same kind of mentality wise.
Yeah, I mean, obviously on Twitter early days, like I was just being a clown and I think that most people understood that like I was a clown. Like I mean, like I some of the stuff when I do talk, I'm
Are you
being
still a clown?
yeah, like I'm a like I
I
just
love
fuck around.
you.
It's not that serious, right? At the end of the day, so when you have to have a serious conversation, you try to flip the switch. But we're talking about hockey here. This is all in good fun. It's not like we're doing. It's not like we're doing like rocket Scientology or anything, right?
Right.
But yeah. So as far as like one big break, I don't really like. It was kind of just all these like little stepping stones. Like even when I retired, Jr., I did this like film project with my buddy Pasha, where we like went around BC and did like a spoof, like a 5-part series spoof, and like that taught me a lot about like editing and
Is that when you
um,
did the helicopter thing and all that stuff?
yeah,
Yeah.
The
yeah,
ice.
like that was the ice bucket challenge, but
Yeah.
we also had the helicopter in the Biz Does BC, but it was kind of like all these little stepping stones along the way that taught me a lot about what I wanted to do and made me more comfortable trying to achieve them. And yeah, so like I said, to shorten the answer up, it wasn't really one major thing. It's just been all these little stepping stones.
Biz, how many times does Gary Bettman call you in a calendar year?
Not as much anymore.
No.
Yeah, I don't
Give
think.
us the best Gary Bettman call and
I
chastise
think
him.
he's great. Like I think he's one of those guys too. Like he understands it all. I think that I think what I was joking around calling him Kim Jong Bettman, that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Like it was all it was all in good fun, right? Like he's clearly not a dictator.
He does have a good sense of humor. People don't realize that, and you know, Bill Daly's one of the best. Bill's a great guy, but that is funny.
Yeah, I also feel the fact that there's no lockout looming.
Right.
The way that the league is thriving, that the fans are starting to gain an appreciation for how he set up the league. Like JR, like I don't know if you necessarily agree with this. I feel like the hard cap has definitely made things a lot more competitive. And
I'm the one that pretty much said in 2004 we should go with it, you know, and like listen, we can survive, you know. You can't say anything bad about what Gary Bettman has done for the league, but
no, no,
last
and
question.
I think at the time it was hard because he was doing the rollback on salaries, and
Mhm.
when the hard cap started out, I think it was a 40 million cap. So it's like compared to now, it's nowhere close. So you guys who were making 7-8 million a year, all of a sudden it was like, oh, you can't really. Not
Yeah.
many guys are going to be making that. So I could see why those guys were upset.
Yeah. Well, listen, Biz, I know you got to go. You got
Yorkie.
yeah, you got
Yeah,
another one that you
yeah.
have to do, and I want to be respectful to your time because you were
Oh,
jump
Are
on
you,
with us, buddy.
no,
Um,
you guys were first in line. So I told Yorkie, I said I could hop on with you
hey,
guys whenever I'm done here. So
are you gonna give it to them today? Yorkie, and you're with Yorkie and Brent Wallace, right?
I might just go on there and act like I don't know what they're talking about. And just to pump Ottawa's tires and maybe jump on their wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Anyway,
listen,
Thanks, buddy.
keep bringing the heat, and
You're the
keep
best.
being you because obviously everybody loves you and loves wits and spitting chicklets and all you guys do for the game.
everybody,
Um,
man, we're
you
all
know
in
what
this
you
together. Jr.
Yeah, what you do on TNT is fantastic, and you're a great representation of the game. Even though you say things that would have gotten me fired, even worse.
I
But
told Jr. when we did that banquet a couple weeks ago. I said, "Well, you should have been a nobody plug then. Then people wouldn't take your word as gospel. They know I'm a clown." So yeah, but I
well,
appreciate you boys, and like
Thanks,
I said,
thanks, Biz.
hockey's in a great place, and
I agree.
you guys are a big reason for that. So thank you so much for having me on.
all right.
Thanks, buddy.
Good luck. Good luck with your Leafs, even though it's going to be a tough one.
Love you, boys.
See you, buddy. Take
Love
care.
you too,
Thanks.
boys.
Bye.
Oh, he is funny, man. I forgot he called him Kim John Bettman or whatever.
Kim Jean Bettman. That's awesome. I know we had to be very respectful to his time. We could have talked to him forever.
Oh yeah.
But he has created an amazing persona for himself, and that's not easy. It's a
No,
lot of work, right? It's a
lot of
lot of work.
lot of work.
I mean, he's always has to be on, Tim.
Yeah.
And I've lived a life where I always had to be on. Everybody was expecting something to come out of my mouth. Everybody was expecting me to say something controversial or something funny or something stupid. And I think I didn't get to ask him that question, but I'm sure he feels kind of that same pressure because that's what
Sure.
his platform's been built on is kind of the crazy.
Mm-hmm. He made a good point. He's not married, doesn't have kids, uh, so he does have the time to do it. Even though his schedule is hectic, he can just focus on himself and his career. And I love the guy. I love listening to him on TNT. I think TNT has the best broadcast in whether it's Canada or the U.S. Their panel is outstanding, and I think they do a tremendous job. So I'm pumped, buddy. I am pumped. We didn't get to ask him, so I'm going to ask you. Can the St. Louis Blues beat the Winnipeg Jets, the President's Trophy winners? Because we know the curse of the President's Trophy. It hasn't been kind to teams over the years. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would have had a different answer a week, 10 days ago. I think coming into the playoffs, I think St. Louis struggled coming into the last couple of games. Had to win a game to get in here late. I think that there's always something being said about going into a series with no pressure, where everybody thinks you're
Mhm.
going to lose. Winnipeg has a lot of pressure on them. I think their number one seed. That's a big pressure. The President's Cup trophy winners. That's a curse. I've won the President's Cup 4 times and I've lost twice in the first round. So I'm one of those. I'm one of those teams. I've been associated with a couple of those jinx teams, which
Who
is
were
terrible.
you with in JR? Was one team
With Chicago in
Chicago
'91 and with the San Jose Sharks in '09.
and San Jose, eh?
Yeah. San Jose was arguably the best team I was ever on, besides the 2004 Flyers that we got bounced in 7 with half of our team injured and to Tampa when Tampa won in 2004. That was the best team I was ever on, that 2004 team. But there you can't call momentum for St. Louis anymore because they've kind of hobbled in. Now, are they excited to be in? Can they just go and play hockey? I think they're a tough team to play against. But there's when you have a goaltender like Hellebuck and you have goal scoring like Scheifele and Connor. I think Ehlers might have gotten hurt
Yeah.
the other day, which
Well,
definitely hurts them.
The linesman took him out.
Yeah, but I think is unfortunately I think there's going to be a Winnipeg in 5. I think they're definitely more poised this year and well coached. And as much as I love your St. Louis Blues, I think they're in for a really tough battle.
Well, and it really hurt with Dylan Holloway going down 2 weeks ago. That's kind of when they started losing a few games.
And they got to go up into that whiteout. That's gonna be intimidating up there, man.
It is, but there's a lot of guys, or not a lot, but there's a few of those guys that remember going up there, winning in 2019. Binnington for sure. I guarantee you, Hellebuck is feeling the pressure. He's never beat Binnington. He lost to him in 2019. He lost to him in the Four Nations. He knows it. This is his time. The pressure is on Hellebuck. You win the Vezina last year. You guys lose in the first or second round. You win the Vezina. He probably will again this year. He's got to step up, JR. Hellebuck has got to step up. It can't.
100%. A lot of pressure on him. And that's a good point because pressure on a goaltender is immense, right? I mean, you hold the whole city pretty much on your shoulders. A bad goal in Canada can resonate for days.
Well, and I'll very quickly before we talk about some of the other teams. Listen to the veteran leadership in the games played for the Blues. You got Suter, Nick Leddy, Parenko, Justin Falk. There's somebody else there that's been playing forever. But they've got a lot of veterans on that back end. Yeah. And with Binnington and net, we've seen it. We saw it in overtime against Team USA. Binnington can go up there and steal a game, and all of a sudden it's 1-1 coming back to St. Louis.
Yeah, so. And I think this has been Thomas's best year also.
Oh.
He's finally gotten to a point where everybody expected him to be a couple years ago. So I think that's another good bonus for the hockey club is I think he has taken a huge step forward in being that dependable scorer that they've all expected from him. So, well, we'll see. And I love your. Again, I think LA makes. I think LA wins in 5.
I was just going to ask you about your buddy Kopitar, and you played in LA, and you know a lot of the guys there.
Dude, they are on all cylinders right now.
They are, and the thing about LA, the media, the fans in the East Coast, because they're on so late, they don't know how good a team this is. This is a really deep hockey team, a really good hockey team. And I don't think they've got enough credit for how good they are. And quite frankly, I didn't think that Jim Hiller would be the coach of that team when he took over for Todd McClellan. But good for him. He's done a tremendous job for a guy that I don't think he had ever been a head coach in the NHL. But this team, I think, I think they're deep enough, and I think they have the goaltending that they're going to take down.
Well, I think what Biz said was I think a massive eye opener. I mean, Kemper has the same numbers as Hellebuck.
Right.
I mean, you just think of that. Nobody's looking at LA's goaltending,
No.
and they play arguably one of the best defensive style of games in the league, right? Um, there's no way that anybody would put Adrian Kempe in the top 10 players in the league when I would argue watching him play and seeing his stats and watching him on a daily basis, you can make an argument of it. The kid is sick.
Yeah, he is.
I think this Byfield has made another huge step.
Uh-huh.
You don't see these guys play. Byfield scored a goal the other last week that was like made every highlight reel across the world. Plus, he's a battler. He's a hard worker. He's a player that is made for the playoffs. A Byfield. I just think that obviously you're led by Kopitar. You're led by Doughty on the back.
Well, and
be very wary of the LA Kings, man, because especially the way they play at home.
Philip and Philip Deneau is one of the more underrated two-way players in this league. The guy,
the two best center, probably two best defensive centermen in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Give Minnesota any chance? Again, they're like the Carolina of the West.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about them. You never hear anything about them. And Kaprizov has been hurt for a lot of the years. He missed 20 some odd games. Nobody talks about Minnesota, but yet they managed to squeak up in there.
Yeah, John Hines is a good coach. I don't know. I don't know about Minnesota. I don't think that they have a chance against Vegas.
I just think they had the worst matchup they could have had in the first round.
Biz mentioned it earlier, and I've told this since they won the cup, since Vegas won the cup. When they won the cup, their smallest defenseman was Alec Martinez at 6'2", and they haven't gotten any smaller since he's gone.
And Minnesota's not a big team either.
No, they're not. And I just think Vegas is too deep. I think Eichel has really taken his game to another level since he's gone to Vegas. I have so much respect for him, especially after having neck surgery and so on. I think Vegas is too deep,
yeah, they are deep. And I will say this: I don't know how many Vegas games you watch, but Vegas is one of my favorite teams in the league. And they are for many reasons. It's not just their team; it's their play on the ice, but it's the way that they run things off the ice, and they're a class act organization. But you watch this team play. The Vegas Golden Knights move the puck and make plays better than any team in the league. Okay, a lot of teams are throw the puck halfway down the ice, throw the puck in transition, dump the puck in and chase. You watch the Golden Knights. You watch them move that puck around. You watch them support each other and make plays in the zone, coming into the zone. They are so united and together mentally that it's almost like they know exactly where somebody is, and they make plays. Mm-hmm. They make passes where 98% of other players would be dumping in the corner and chasing. That comes down to puck possession. So when you can make plays and you can make passes rather than dump the puck and chase, or you panic with the puck and you get rid of it, these guys make really good decisions with the puck. So they end up having the puck more. That puck possession for the Golden Knights is going to be a very difficult thing for other teams to get over, especially Minnesota, that I don't think they just don't have the gusto to overcome.
So all the teams that are in right now, who do you think that is the underdog out of all the underdogs? Who do you think could win a series being the underdog? Who's the team that you really think they have a good chance of winning?
Montreal.
I
think Montreal is that one team. We talked about it earlier. I think they have a chance to really surprise a Washington team that has been in celebratory mode for a lot of the year and kind of waddling into the playoffs.
Listen, the future's bright in Montreal, buddy.
Yes, 100%.
The future is bright. They were young,
Look at their energy too.
and then they this Demidov who played with our buddy Tony D'Angelo in Russia at SKA. I don't think that they envisioned him coming over as quickly as he has. I'm really excited to watch them in the playoffs because I didn't get to see his first 2 games. I just saw his point total. But I'm excited to watch this kid because this is a young fun team, and I'm happy for guys that have been there through the lean years, like a Brendan Gallagher, and especially just lost his mom to cancer, and Marty St. Louis, a great guy, great coach. The city of Montreal is my favorite. Is my favorite building to referee in. Yeah, in the entire NHL.
Well,
So
we know our boss Joe Manuel is going to be happy with our conversations about Montreal, so he's going to be watching with all eyes peeled on that series. But I do think still the one that I'm going to look forward to the most is the Florida battle.
yeah,
That's going to be a lot of fun. I hope Matthew is up to par.
I don't think
Having Marchand there, having Seth Jones there. It's going to be interesting to see whether they can again. It's tough to do it 3 years in a row. They got to the final, they lost. They got to the final, they won. It's a lot of hockey. We've talked about teams playing a lot of hockey, and this Tampa team, for some reason, they just seem like unbeatable right now.
I've seen Walt. I saw him at the Frozen Four NCAA championship game. His BU team lost to Western Michigan. Congrats to that team because I was there and they were a solid team and it was fun to watch. But so I haven't asked him, but I don't know if Matthew's even going to get back for the playoffs. JR, like whatever happened to him, whether it was a groin or whatever. He hasn't played a game since the Four Nations. And without him in the lineup, hey, listen, they're still a great hockey club. We know that. But this Kucherov, again, over 100 points is just...
Well, Hagel had himself a year. Hagel. Point, Hedman. I mean, they're just loaded, man.
And I think that'll go 6 or 7.
Yes,
it's not going to be a short series, and
they're gonna pound the hell out of each other.
They're going to pound each other. But I think Tampa will win that series, and maybe it's just been too much hockey for Florida. And like you said, you can't play into late June 2 years in a row, and by that third year feel very revived or good. You know what I mean? Like you played it. The longer you play, the worse you feel.
Yeah, and even though I never won a cup, but I'm going to assume something. They lost to Vegas the first year.
Mm-hmm.
They went to the cup. They were motivated the second year. You know that they had a different mentality. They changed the way that they played. They played more disciplined. They were more structurally aware, and you can tell that they wanted it a little bit more because of that loss. There has to be some sort of little bit of a letdown coming into another season, knowing how hard it is to get there, knowing that you don't have the same team, you have some injuries, and what a grind it is to get there. There's no way that you can have that motivation as high as it was last year going into this year, knowing that you just celebrated a cup, 9 months earlier. To me, I don't see that being possible.
Yeah, I think it's just human nature, and people might wonder, like, what do you mean, JR? But it's human nature. When you don't have something and you really want something in life, not just sport, and all of a sudden you get it. Well,
there's always going to be a little bit of a letdown, isn't there?
Yeah, there has to be. I agree with you 100%. You don't, Matthew, after he lost that first year, he was driven, man. He was driven.
Oh,
and I'm not saying he's still driven, but is he to that level that it takes right now?
And listen, there is a little bit of satisfaction in that chase, right? And that is definitely has to be part of the meter here. So it'd be interesting.
Biz talked about it, and you asked him about Marner, and we were talking about what team he'd go to. People, like, they don't even talk that it's hardly mentioned that this could be Mitch Marner's last few games that he ever wears a Toronto Maple Leaf jersey.
Yeah,
Like he's
I
gone.
think it is.
Is he gone? Like, can
I
they
think he's gone.
re-sign him?
I think he's 100% gone.
They're not going to be able to pay him, right?
No, they won't. Not with what they're paying Matthews. Not what they're paying Nylander. And I think isn't Tavares on his last year of his
Mhm.
contract, or he's done? So that's
Yeah.
they get that one off the books, which is good. Um, they got a boatload of players on that team. That's a lot of money. You look at teams that need some, like we talked about, a Chicago Blackhawks, right? Um, the Chicago Blackhawks should throw the bank at somebody like Marner, because even Biz said this, to have a guy like Mitch Marner next to a Connor Bedard would be massive. Connor Bedard had a very good season this year. You look at his numbers,
Mhm.
with very little help. I mean, he had 25, 26 goals. He had 70 points. I mean, almost 70 points, or maybe 70 points. Um, this he's To have somebody like Marner could really jumpstart, or at least improve, a Connor Bedard's numbers, um, dramatically.
Does Marner want to go to a team that's 3, 4, 5 years away from winning?
Well,
You're
that's the question. That
like,
that becomes a question. That's a
like,
good. It's a great point.
like you're going to think I'm crazy because this probably isn't a team that you would have thought of, but they're right there knocking on the door, and they've got some good players. Does Columbus make a run at him? Like, Columbus had a really good year. They were very close to making the playoffs, and they've got some good young players on that team.
Yeah, they were the
You know,
second surprise. They were the second surprise team.
right? Right?
Yeah, they were the second surprise team to me.
Who is your biggest disappointment this year?
The biggest disappointment, without question, is the New York Rangers,
Yeah.
Boston Bruins, New York Rangers. They were absolutely just such a letdown in so many different ways. Um, the fact that Boston pretty much had a fire sale at the end of the season, which still kind of boggles a lot of people's minds. Um, and the Rangers, with the turmoil that they had, with the trading players, the losing streak, the
The Truba thing. Yep.
signing the goaltender to $10.5 million. They had so much drama in New York, and still at the end of the season, when they needed to win hockey games, they just fell on their ass and miserably, with
Mhm.
way too many good players on that team. So for me, there's no question, across the whole board, across the National Hockey League, the Rangers were by far the most disappointing team.
Is Laviolette the coach? Is he behind the bench at the start of next
I don't think
season?
so. No, I don't think so. Now,
No.
you can't, in a major metropolis and original six team, and a team that won the President's Cup trophy last year, to go this far down in one year. As much as I love Laviolette, we talked about this team not playing, and for some reason, and it's always going to be the coach that's going to take the fall for a team miserably, not performing for a certain reason. And I think Larry Let's going to take the brunt of this summer for sure.
Is Tocchet the coach of Vancouver at the start of next season?
Yes, I do. I think his relationship, with the GM, is extremely strong. I think his love for coaching is very strong. Um,
You don't
I
see him
don't.
going to Philadelphia, maybe, eh?
Well, is talk at the end of his contract?
I think he is.
Well, I'll tell you what. If I was Danny Briere and Keith Jones, I would be doing everything I possibly could to get Rick Tocchet to Philadelphia.
100%.
Without question. I mean, he is a Philly icon.
Yeah, he is.
His coaching style is Broad Street bullies all the way, with player compassion.
Yeah.
Understands how to treat other the players these days. Has a really good, tone and tempo, for today's game, and obviously Coach of the Year last year. And I think he got caught up. I think he got caught in a player dispute where the management made the wrong decision, and I don't think he liked it.
Yeah, I don't either. And you know, I don't. I'm with you. I think Talk would be perfect in Philly. I think some of the players that play for him in Vancouver, it's very frustrating for him the style that they play, i.e., and Elias Pettersson guys. They're just not his type of players. But anyway, I think he'd be a great fit in Philly. I love Talk. But listen, before we go.
I know. I hope you're going to go to some place where I want to go if you're going to finish this up. But
Well, the last thing that I want to say is I want to give a shout out to one of, if not the classiest men that I've ever met in my time in hockey, and that's the great Sam Rosen. Congratulations on a 40-year career with the New York Rangers. Truly, I spoke to him. I gave him a call last week. And he called me back on his way out to Long Island and didn't have to. And I told him how much I loved him, how much I respected him. He is truly one of the nicest people ever, JR.
Yep. And one of the best announcers in the history of sports. His voice is iconic. His calls are dynamic. His love and passion for the game and dedication to the game, and his ability to capture a moment will go up there as one of the best of all time. And it was very sad to hear that last call last night for Sam Rosen. Yeah, but he will be missed. I also wanted and there's a couple people that are retiring that had glorious careers. Alec Martinez.
Yes.
He's playing his last game with the Hawks. He's getting ready to have another baby. He's, two-time Stanley Cup winner, scored the winning goal in overtime for the LA Kings, had just a fantastic career. Not only just a great career, but a really upstanding, great person.
Great.
Alec Martinez.
Two-time Stanley Cup champion, and he broke two of my ribs with a slap shot.
Oh, no.
But anyway, I know where you're going next.
No, go ahead. Where do you think I'm going?
The big rig.
The big rig. Yeah.
Patty,
what do you think? Give me your big rig thoughts.
I just, you know what? He had him and Francesca had another baby girl yesterday morning. So shout out to the big rig. Congratulations.
I love him.
Three-time Stanley Cup from Oakville, Missouri. People never thought his nickname when he was younger was Fat Pat. And Fat Pat went on to win 3 Stanley Cups, play over 880 games, I think, in this league. Is a tremendous person. Teammates absolutely love him. And I just want to give a shout out to Patty because he's just a great guy, and I can't wait to see him back in.
How about a guy that made the most of everything he had? Right? So Pat Maroon is not only one of the best, I think, teammates that you can have. His passion for the game, his love for the game, the durability that he's had to move to many different teams, have the luxury of winning 3 Stanley Cups in a row, and not just being a passenger on those teams, having a real role of a leader, of a strong physical force that protected his teammates. And a guy who just, you can tell, loved the game. And to be able to finish in St. Louis the way that he did and get that kind of notoriety and that thank you for them, I think it just encapsulates a fourth line, very integral part of a team player that Pat Maroon represents. And we wish him all the best of luck in his post career. He's a guy that I could see on television doing something as a personality. So I hope the National Hockey League, or at least St. Louis or somebody, sees the just the joy in Pat Maroon and that he gets on television, because he needs to share that with the world.
I agree.
Great show today, man. The playoffs start tomorrow.
Can't wait.
Wrap them up. I will say this. I think that the National Hockey League did one thing terribly wrong, and that's the schedule. We didn't have time to talk about the playoff schedule, but it really doesn't look all that great not having Toronto playing on Saturday and Hockey Night in Canada, but playing on Sunday is kind of you don't have Florida playing until Tuesday. You got to wait for that. I don't know how this all works out, but
it can't be their fault though. It's got to be just the availability of
it is. It's rink availability. Yeah. I know they would have loved to have done it, but
there's one series they got three days off.
I know. If this is the worst thing that we can complain about with the National Hockey League is the schedule, then they have it pretty good. Exactly. So want to thank Whiskey in the Wild, our sponsors, the best chocolate whiskey and chocolate orange whiskey in the world, whiskeyinthewild.com, protected neck guards. Thanks to our boy Tim Peel protecting all young kids out there playing the best sport in the world. And Bet Online. If you want to make money, go to Bet Online and bet on this show to be the best show of the week. There's no question about it. Thanks for joining us here.
Hit him straight today, buddy. Hit him straight.
I'll hit him straight. You can tell I'm dressed in my Travis Matthews gear, ready to go. But great show. We'll see everybody next week. Enjoy the first round of the playoffs. And Peelsy, we'll see you next week on another edition of Snipes and Stripes on nofilter.net.
Yeah, buddy.